Hello everyone, it's George from Ireland here, and I'm in Oxford. No, not Mississippi, Oxford, United Kingdom, so the original Oxford. And I'm on Cornmarket Street, but we always call it Cornmarket, just drop the street. Anyway, so Oxford, it's not derived from a place where oxen could ford the river, because the River Thames is very low. No, that's a misapprehension. It's because in ancient Celtic languages it's the word ossia for water, like Ishka in Irish, meaning water. So of course you'd ford water. What else would you ford? But the city symbol of an ox walking through a river is actually misleading. Anyway, so you can see some of these are like late 19th century, early 20th century buildings, some very bland mid 20th century ones, but we shall get going. So it's a pedestrian street, been pedestrianised in 1998. So it's a very pedestrian friendly city, cycling friendly city. Thanks to the Green Party, when they were on the council in the late 1980s, got a lot of cycle paths in before that was fashionable. Now we're going to have a look at St Michael's Tower, or Northgate Tower as it's variously known, which is the oldest building in the city. So this is well over 1,000 years old, this building. Here we are. And so that was a watchtower to look out for the Danes who were attacking from the north in particular, going back to the early Middle Ages. And it was here in this tower that the Oxford martyrs were held before their trial. They were tried in St Mary's, the university church, so you can pay to go in. It goes back to Saxon times. There you see a little bit closer in. Anyway, centuries ago, this was the northern extent of the city, this tower here, and the southern extent of the city was Southgate Tower, except we don't call it Southgate Tower anymore, we call it Carfax Tower. I don't think you can see it from this angle. It's only 200 meters away. No, it's still not obvious, but we'll walk down to it, which is part of a church for centuries, but the major portion of the church was demolished in the 18th century, but Carfax Tower itself still stands. There was a gate here as well into the 18th century, but again that was demolished because it was an obstacle to traffic. Okay, so St Michael's Street there, because it leads almost onto Northgate Tower, so it doesn't function as a church, hasn't functioned as a church for a very, very long time. Anyway, Oxford University is obviously synonymous with education, most famous for Oxford University, so you can see how bit of a church, but worship hasn't been conducted there for many moons. So this Oxford University is obviously the oldest university in the Anglosphere, the third oldest university in the world, that's existed continuously. Rather depends what you count as a university as being, because it's like a centre of advanced learning for adults, and in ancient India and ancient China they had such things, but some of them fell by the wayside, been revived in more recent times, but it often haven't existed continuously. So Paris and Bologna claim to have been going longer. Obviously there were some universities that were older than this, like say Rhodes in ancient Greece, but no longer exists. Now, look at that. Look at that for a crime against architecture. How bland is that? They could have done something much, much better with this. Ooh, and I'll give you another view down the high street here. And there's a bit of a mock Tudor building there, which I missed, which I slightly regret. Oh, and I see up high on Northgate Tower, well, maybe you can't make it out with the naked eye. They were flying the cross of St George, as in the flag of England. That red cross on a white field. Anyway, this place would usually be thronged with tourists at this time of year, but it's not to be at the moment. Oh, and that's the back of Jesus. No, not as in Christ, but Jesus College, named in her honour. And various people who attended Jesus, like Lawrence of Arabia, T.E. Lawrence, Thomas Edward Lawrence. There you see him, Harold Wilson, the Prime Minister, who is a fellow at my college, at University College. And who's that professor? I've never heard of her, actually. Shows what I know. Anyway, I remember there was a supermarket on this street, a basement supermarket in my first term, then it closed down. Okay, the Clarendon Centre, the little shopping centre. So strange to see it so empty, when of course it should be bursting at the seams. There'd be gaggles of teenagers are here to improve their English. There'd be hordes of Oriental tourists and so forth. There'd be lots of street entertainers, you know, people playing musical instruments on the street and things like that. But none of that this year. Well, it's a ghost town compared to what it's like usually. There isn't room to swing a cat most of the time if it's August. Anyway, we're a bit north of the River Thames, and it's flat at the moment. Eventually it slopes down towards the River Thames. But the Thames, when it flows through Oxford, is known as the Isis, the River Isis. I think it's because it's Thamesis, as in, they would say in Latin, as in of the Thames. Wow, that used to be McDonald's, is now Greg's, something equally unhealthy. They're selling sausage rolls, donuts, and whatnot. Hsbc, Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation. When I signed up, it was called the Midland Bank, the Listening Bank. That was their jingle. All right, so here's Southgate Tower, or more commonly known as Carfax. And so from there to the other tower, maybe you can see it here, maybe you can make it out. Ooh, there. That was the extent of Oxford, north to south. Wow. And then, so you can pay to go up this one as well. And on the hour, these two little men above the clock, they come out and they do their little dance and they bang the bells. And it's got the Latin motto, Fortis est veritas, that's truth is strength. That's definitely a lie. Anyway, as I say, there was a church attached to this, but the church has been demolished, just the tower remains. So anyway, in that direction there's Westgate, the Westgate shopping centre. You can't see it from here. The Westgate was long since demolished, but the name remains. And in the other direction there was the Eastgate. This is now called High Street. Centuries ago it was called Eastgate Street, and the Eastgate Street has also been knocked down. There's Eastgate Hotel, but the Eastgate Hotel sometimes changes its name. I don't know what it's called at the moment. One of the slightly dispiriting things is the way that these buildings, they change hands so frequently it's difficult to keep up. And you can see some gargoyles on top, these sort of grotesque little figures to try and ward off evil spirits. And they were making them well into the 19th century. Sometimes they were in a distinctively 19th century style. You can tell by the hairstyle. What else they did that was curious are the ones which look like kangaroos, or their caricatures of various dons of days of yore. When I say dons, I mean lecturers or professors in Oxford University or in Cambridge University, known as dons colloquially. It's casual, but it's not rude to call a man or a woman a don if he or she is teaching here. So this is, another angle of Southgate Tower, Carfax, as in quadriforkia, 4 forks, because it's a crossroads. Actually you can see the Westgate Centre right down there, dead ahead. That is a Westgate shopping centre, and there is no Westgate. A telephone box. I don't know if it's in use. Probably in use as a public convenience. Maybe they should just be honest about it and label it pissoir. Apparently you can purchase them. People sometimes sell them through a shower cabinet and whatnot. So that's just a little introduction to the very centre of Oxford. There's so much more to see. I'm barely scratching the surface. Toodle pip.